Some people have scars on the outside. Some people wear their scars on the inside. But every scar has a story. Every loss carries love, and every survivor holds a strength they may not realize they possess. Welcome to S.O.S. Stories of Survivors. Hi, and welcome back to S.O.S. Stories of Survivors. I'm your host, Serina Dansker, and today my dear friend Michelle Giorno is going to be joining us on the show. You know Michelle from the Self-Love Club, but Michelle was also on season 1 and talking about one of the deepest, troubling times of her life. Today, we're going to take it on a different path, and we're going to talk about who Michelle is, how she was able to shine her light, where her resilience comes from. Michelle's light shines so brightly, and I actually call her Little Miss Sunshine. She is just a ray of light, and today we're going to talk about where that comes from and who she is at her very core. Welcome, Michelle.
Oh, thank you. Thanks, Serena. Happy to be here.
Yes. So, today isn't just about what's happened to you, Michelle. It's about who you were before the world tried to tell you who you were. When I think about your story, I keep coming back to something you recently shared with me. You wrote, "My wild, weird little wanderlust heart was fueled by hearing my mama and my daddy-o hoping, wishing, and dreaming about their dream home. While they dreamed of building the perfect home, I dreamed about all the places I could one day visit." That image stayed with me. And because it reminds me that you were always a survivor, but even before that, you were a dreamer. And today, I want everyone to meet that girl. So let's talk about your childhood. Tell me about your mama and your daddy-o.
Oh, my mama and my daddy-o. They're awesome. They're hippies. Mom and dad always said, we're going to be hippies till the day we die. And they're holding true to that. They live in North Georgia now, and they love it. They live on a beautiful piece of property. But mom and dad, my dad's a Vietnam vet, and my mom is, her trade was baking. She had a bakery.
Wow.
And dad is an artist. He was a machinist. He had a few different careers. And but they used to I loved when we would get in the van and they would start talking about like all their dreams. But it was really, they wanted to have their dream compound. I mean, if they had it their way, all their kids would be living on the same property. Oh. We'd have our gardens and animals. One point, Dad, he decided he was going to get our winter store. So he got he spent a couple weekends building this huge pen. He got 25 turkeys and 50 chickens. That was probably like 50 feet behind my bedroom.
Oh, my God.
And Dad didn't account for our dog, Tuck. And the dogs, and we had Tuck and Shauna, and Tuck's a white German Shepherd. He busted into the pen and ran away. All the chickens and turkeys either ran away or got killed.
Oh, my God.
That was not a fun experiment, but they always had these like grand plans, and it's so beautiful because I see them now.
Yes.
And they're living out their dream. It's so cool.
That is so. Are they still dreamers? Do they still have big plans?
I think at this stage, they're just trying to live their best life. They're in their 70s, and they weren't huge travelers. Like we were always at home and doing projects around the house, and they love that and they feed off of that. But I was always like, where can I go?
So do you think that's where your imagination was fueled?
Yes.
From, being in the van and
oh, yeah,
talking about the dreams and.
Oh, yeah, totally. My dad and mom, I mean, they used to talk about they wanted to start a halfway house for troubled teens. And then when my mom had my brother, he was a surprise. I was 15 when he was born. So they were like, all right, well, change of plans.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, but I think that I just have had that deep desire of dreaming, and it also was a way of protecting myself from things that were going on with, I was abused as a child, by my dad's best friend. And,
Oh my God.
he was actually, abusing some other kids as well. And
Let's talk about like that, where you grew up. Let's go into the area you grew up in, and did you grow up in a wealthy neighborhood?
no, so we lived on 10 acres.
Okay.
And all the like plots were 10 acres back then. And we had some, I had neighbor kids who were my best friend and her brother. And we would, it was so cool because in between there was, at the edge of our property, there was a big tree, and I would climb the tree when we'd call over to Mandy, and I'd ask her, hey, can you play? And she'd say, I'm hanging close. It was like the old school, like if you couldn't talk on the phone. But we would there was a creek. And so we would play like it was our castle, and we were on an island, and there was like a fallen tree, and that was our horse. And we just, we were.
See, that's the beauty of it. Like, I didn't grow up wealthy either. And people sometimes assume, well, if you didn't grow up with money, you couldn't have probably have had a happy childhood or, or much. But we did. We didn't have abundance of things, but we made our own fun. We used to, I remember we'd get all the building kids, and we'd all get together and we'd play this game called Ring Alivio. I don't know if they played that game.
I don't know that one.
Well, where I'm from in Yonkers, Ring Alivio was a thing, and we would have the best times. We would run around all the buildings, and you'd get, it's like a form of tag,
Okay.
And there were so many kids teaming all around, and it was just fun, just like you guys would play with the castle and the moat and on all those acres. I'm sure it was fun.
Oh, it was. We had a grand time. We built a leaf fort, and we would have around 4th of July bottle rocket wars, and it was a really good time. Mom and Dad, being hippies, we were like the party house. Like everybody would come over every weekend. Mom and Dad would have a big party, and it was like potluck. And, a lot of the people would be like, hey, I'll give you a quarter go get me a beer. So I was a bartender.
That's so funny. Was this at the glass house you once told me about?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so actually it's a plastic house.
Okay.
So before we moved to Ferndale, we lived in the Ozarks. Had 20 acres, and we lived in a van.
Wow.
And but we started sort of outgrowing the van as I was getting older, and Mom and Dad were like, we need a place to store some of our stuff. So they built this house, I call it a house, out of like 2x4s and visqueen, really thick, like clear plastic. And I remember it's one of my first memories. And I begged Mom and Dad, can I please sleep in the plastic house? And they were like, well, all right. And there was like shelves. They had built some shelving in there, and there were clothes. And so there was some, I guess, I don't know. I slept in there, but I got chewed up by mosquitoes. And Mom's like, well, that's not happening again.
That's not going to happen again. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so funny. I mean, I absolutely love that while your parents dreamed about having a different kind of house than the glass house, you called yourself the wild wanderlust, and with the wanderlust heart. Where do you think that came from? And do you think little Michelle was always searching for possibilities?
Yeah. Little Michelle, like it was my dream. I wanted to be an actress, wanted to be on Broadway. I wanted to travel the world. I had this probably like crazy obsession with, I wanted to go to Paris. That was just like my dream. And I honestly never thought that would happen until like I met my now husband. And for my birthday, he gave me a little shirt box. And I was like, oh, what's this? And he's like, oh, it's a gift that I want you to help pick. And I'm like, no, I'm not like that. Just give me something, whatever, whatever you want to do. And I open it up, and it's a laminated map of Paris and a travel guidebook. And he said, I want to take you to Paris. So,
Oh, what a sweetheart. I love that.
So we planned the trip together because he knew it was my dream. And on our 1-year anniversary, it was getting close. It was in September. And I kept thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to propose. He's going to propose. And then finally, like, we went to the Eiffel Tower, the place you are thinking, okay, it's going to happen. And he was acting so weird. And I was like, Michelle, you need to stop. You're literally ruining this trip. And the next day we went out to Versailles, and we got a little rowboat, and we row out. And I'm like making fun of him because he's like, I'm like, all the boats are out there. So it was crazy. And I'm like, you're going to hit somebody. And
He was rowing the boat?
He was rowing the boat.
You didn't have like a rower.
No, he was rowing the boat. And we get out to the middle. So it's like in the shape of a cross or like a X.
Okay.
And at one end is Versailles, and the other end is Marie Antoinette's retreat home. Okay. And he pulls up the oars, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he said, I never knew true love until I met you. Oh. And he pulled out the ring, and it was, I was like,
God.
Oh my gosh, wow. Yes.
Yeah. All right, so now we're going to flashback.
Okay.
Flashback back to Ferndale, Arkansas.
Ferndale.
Okay, so we started to talk a little bit about that, about how your dad had this friend, we'll call him, and he was, he had an illness. He had a mental illness, we'll say.
Yeah.
Where he felt it was okay to sexually molest young children.
Right, yeah.
And on the outside, it looked like a beautiful town, to your parents when they moved there, and they didn't realize what was happening. So without going into details that you don't want to share, talk about what that experience was like for you.
Yeah, so... And it's so hard because the sexual abuse in that area was rampant.
Really?
And it wasn't just, it was this one main person. And then, but his dad did some things. Our babysitters, older boys did things to us.
Wow.
And so, when you're a little kid, you don't know any different. And I just thought that was how little girls are treated. And, but I knew, like, I used to ride the school bus, and I would stare at the sun. I wanted to try to make myself go blind so I wouldn't have to see any of their faces. Thankfully, I'm not blind, I've been able to see some beautiful things, but so that went on all of my elementary school years.
Now, one thing that struck me is you had said that you had created another world.
Oh, yeah.
So that way you would make up stories about your life. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I had forgotten what the full name of the book was, or the movie, but I remember seeing the movie Return to Witch Mountain. I think and there are these two kids, and the things that stood out were they had all of these grand toys, and I think she had a pony, but one thing that stuck out was she had a cotton candy machine. And so I would tell the kids at school, oh yeah, I've got a pony. Oh yeah, I have a cotton candy machine. I would just make stuff up. And I guess my mom and dad, because we were outsiders in Ferndale, a lot of the people who'd grown up there and lived there, they didn't trust outsiders, which is hilarious because my parents are salt of the earth.
Yeah, yeah.
And but so no one could come to my house, so nobody could really call me out on my lies.
Do you think little Michelle was trying to write herself into a world where she felt safer?
I do. Yeah. I wanted to be anywhere else. The main perpetrator, he ended up getting caught. Oh. And he went to prison. So
good,
and was there until I left the house. So
yeah, thank God, because as children we don't have the words like disassociation or coping or trauma.
Yeah,
we simply survive, and the only way we know how. And sometimes survival looks like pretending, or just, pleasing other people so that way they don't hurt us anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes it looks like dreaming. And sometimes it's becoming someone else for a little while if we can. You have compassion for that little girl that you were.
I do.
So let's talk about that.
I wish, there's so much I wish for that little girl. I would love to tell her, don't give up on your dreams. Never sacrifice. You don't have to be anyone else. I spent a lifetime creating these worlds and trying to be someone else. So it just came naturally as I got older and I went to college, and I just wanted people to like me. And I would just love to tell her, Michelle, you don't have to be anyone else. You're perfect just the way God made you.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love that.
Yeah.
It's hard. I remember growing up too and just having, whatever traumas I was going through and wishing that I was somebody else or that I had an older sibling to protect me.
Yeah.
You always wish for things, but I think we're here, we're on a journey, and life is not easy by any means. And I think sometimes we go through some of the worst possible things someone could go through. But if we get through that storm and put one foot in front of the other, it makes us better people, it makes us stronger people. And that little girl who used to stare at the sun, who wanted to disappear, today, I think you look at the sun differently. I think you look toward it as it's the light.
Yeah. Yeah.
So talk a little bit about that.
It is funny. I mean,
What changed? Yeah.
I am Little Miss Sunshine.
Yeah.
I think that was also a protective measure, to be, abnormally happy, but it innately is who I am. I am just like a glass half full person, and I am a very positive person. I will say, up until a couple of years ago, I used to tell my story all the time, on repeat. My sexual assault, my abuse, and my mom had pointed out to me, and I thought it was beautiful. She said, "I can tell that you've reached a certain point in your healing journey because you don't talk about your story all the time." And I'm so grateful that does not define me anymore. It's part of my story, but it's not all of my story. It's not all of me. And I will say, truly, my faith has saved me.
I wonder if your childhood dreams, your imagination, and eventually your faith were all pointing you towards the hope and the light that now shines so brightly in you.
Yeah.
And talk about your faith. Did that, come from what place? Were you always religious? Did you always go to church every Sunday? How?
Well, so I grew up Southern Baptist, and we would go to church. There was a time all of us as a family would go to church. And then I guess, mom and dad, I'll be honest, they got tired of being asked to constantly donate their time and talent, and it just got to be too much. So then I would just go to church with my best friend, any of my friends who were going to church. And so when I was, I think 11 or so, it was a church revival. And so it's a tent revival. You're out in the tent the whole week, every night. But on the end of the last day, they will do it's in the church. And so the traveling preacher, he's like, after he did his sermon, everybody to bow your head. And then he said, if you felt the Holy Spirit, raise your hand. And my little hand just flew up.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And I started crying. But I wasn't sad. It was but I truly just felt moved by the Holy Spirit. And So after he was done getting all his hands raised, he said, okay, everybody lower your hand, and I want you to open your eyes. And he said, if you raise your hand, I want you to stand up. And I was like, oh, a little 11-year-old me, I don't want anybody looking at me. No, I don't want to do that.
That's right.
But I knew I couldn't deny God. So as I stood up, my best friend right in front of me, she stood up at the same time, and I was like, she felt it too.
Oh, I love it.
It was just so special and sweet. And, you know, for a long time, I just didn't think that, like, I was lovable because of everything that I'd been going through. And I felt shame and guilt and that I didn't deserve a place in heaven.
But it wasn't your fault. You did nothing. You know, you were a victim of the circumstances that surrounded you.
Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how we turn that stuff around and we think that it must have been something we did?
Yeah.
Or maybe it was society putting that blame on us. Or you must have worn really short shorts to have that happen to you. Or, you know.
That guy's mom said that.
At 7 years old, you know?
She was like, well, if your kids didn't wear things that they wear, oh my, that's just insane.
I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah.
It just makes me so angry. Do you ever see pieces of your old life come and become present now? Because I know that you're very involved in the church that you're part of now, and that you've gotten your ministry. You've been to ministry school. You do some healing.
Yeah.
Do you think part of how you grew up has influenced that?
Absolutely. And I mean, I know there's two schools of thought on it. Some people believe that everything happens for a reason, and I'm one of those people. And I always say, you know, I probably could have put the childhood abuse in a little box and not talked about it and just kept it hidden away. But after I was assaulted when I was 20 or 19, 20, it changed something in me. It really broke me down. And I believe that is what has, been propelling me to go out and share my story. I speak at high schools and colleges and share my story, and I open it up to Q&A and ask the kids to ask any questions. I'm always just there for them. I've ended up converting to Catholicism.
Wow.
Yeah. I used to go with my grandma when would visit Florida, and she'd say, sit right here, don't move. And it was in Latin, parts of it. But I always felt it was so beautiful. I love the smell of the incense. It felt like home. And finally, my college boyfriend, Vince, and his family were very involved in the Catholic Church. And I started going with them. And one of the priests, Father Harvey, he would say to me, Michelle, when are you going to convert? I'm like, one of these days, you know. And then finally he asked me, and I said, I'll tell you what, you give me that stole that you're wearing. He had these beautiful, like, African-American stoles that he would wear. And he goes, done. I was like, what?
Wow.
Wait. Yeah. He's like, you can't take it back.
You out on it.
He's like, you can't take it back now. And it was the best decision I ever made.
Oh, my gosh.
I would say I was probably like the dutiful Catholic. And, I was a CCD teacher for my son all through all of his years of taking CCD, his religious studies. And then something like happened a few years ago. And this friend of mine, she started Encounter School of Ministry. And she kept talking to me about it. And I'm like, yeah. And I had been going back to school. I was at Norwalk Community College, working full time, going through that transition where my son was about to leave for college. And I just felt lost. I didn't know who I was without being Curran's mom.
Yeah.
And I thought I was going to have a breakdown. And Sarah, she kept talking to me. But then one day, it was like a week before their summer intensive where you get to learn about it. we were just texting, and she said, "Hey, I gotta go. I gotta prepare for summer intensive." And after we were done, I just said, "God, is this for me? Like,
Yeah.
is this what you want me to do?" And I heard loud and clear in my head, how many times do I have to have Sarah text you? And I was like, okay,
Oh, that's
okay.
so funny.
And that's what's so cool about Encounter is it's based off of scripture.
Right.
And I've read tons of books about the saints and the healing, the miraculous healings that have occurred from the saints. And the reason I really wanted to do it is because there was a quarter on inner healing.
Really?
And I knew, like, I have been trying to fill like a God-sized hole inside me with so many things.
I know that hole. That hole is called trauma.
Right.
That's that void. And let's explore that for a second, because, as a victim of sexual assault, you joined a group, a very special group called Jane Doe No More.
Yes.
Because there are many women and men who are victims of sexual assault. And they're we were always taught, I guess, back in the day, where you don't air your dirty laundry, as we talked about before. It must have been something you did to have unwelcomed it. But a lot of times, there is no rhyme or reason for the sexual assault. It happens to children. It's home invasions. It's just you're a victim of circumstance. And so talk to me a little bit about your affiliation with that group. And
I love Jane Doe No More. It was so interesting. I had started working with a center in Stanford, and I was doing some advocacy work and outreach. And I saw like an ad on Facebook, and it was like, "Oh, Jane Doe No More," and they're having their Henry C. Lee gala. And I was like, "Oh, what's this?" And I reached out to Carol Wilton, who is the director, executive, or she's the manager, whatever.
right.
And I said, "Would you like a speaker?" And she was like, "Oh, thank you so much, but we actually train our speakers. And we have another program coming up in the fall. Do you want to come and do the training?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, that would be great." So went through the training, but I will tell you, so I think there were 6 of us in my class. And one of the hardest things, we're so used to our story. We
Yeah.
know our story.
Back and forth.
But when front and back, when you hear other people's story, it was an extremely emotional 2 days. We went one day, did our training, and then went back. I think it was a week later. But I will tell you, it's such an emotional weight. And one of my friends, she said, they caught the person who assaulted me. And my heart breaks for you, because they didn't catch the person who assaulted me. And I'm just like, "What are you talking about? You barely survived."
Yeah.
So no one, and I always say that, like, we each have our own story.
Yeah.
And no one's story is worse or better than anyone else's. And I truly felt like I was no longer on an island all by myself.
Yeah.
Our group of survivors, they're some of the most incredible people. And they amaze me. They amaze me.
You are so amazing, and I've seen you speak, and I've seen you tell your story, and it stops you in your tracks. But even more than that, you have actually taken it to another level, and you speak to young people about your experience. Talk about that.
Yeah. It's incredible how thoughtful they're seniors. Mostly I've taken it to just like I speak at Richfield High School, and I speak to every senior class. They have a section on sexual assault, and this is like a semester. So it's know before you go, basically. It's like, or I forget what they call it, but once you're leaving high school, right?
Right.
And they talk about drugs and alcohol, and they have all these different units. And I found out when I went to the open house for my son that they had this unit on sexual assault. And I was like, oh, I'm a speaker. I'm a survivor speaker. Would it be beneficial? And I've been doing this 5 years
Wow.
now. And I just last semester got Jane Doe No More into the school to help me because it's a lot.
It is a lot.
It's a lot. Sharing your story 5, 6, 7 times, and the semesters are always share in December, and which it's around the holidays.
Yeah.
This is like really not something I want to be thinking about or talking about, but if it's going to make the difference
Yes.
for one of these boys or girls, and I always talk to the young men about just giving them that your empowerment. You could actually change the trajectory of
Yes.
someone's life if you do something and speak up.
Yes.
And for the girls, and I've had so many questions. I always say, you can ask me anything. I'm an open book. If I don't know the answer, I'll tell you. There's nothing you can't ask me I haven't heard before. Well, guess what? Like that's like my famous last words, because these kids, they're smart.
Really? What kind of questions do they ask?
Oh boy. I had one boy, he literally raised his hand and he said, like, how did you ever have sex again?
Wow.
Like going through that trauma,
So
and
they're really on. They're listening. They're feeling it. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like little Michelle is there, with them.
yeah. I've had kids ask, what would you have done if you gotten pregnant?
Wow.
Which, that question, it
Yeah.
was so tough. And I'm so real and honest with them. And I say, I would like to think that I would have had the baby and gave it up for adoption. That's what I would like to say. But you have to remember, I'd just gone through one of the most traumatic things in my life, and I'm not sure. And that's just the reality of it.
When you walk off that stage, from talking to those kids, what reminds you that every painful thing that you went through was maybe preparing you for this mission, right?
Yeah, I think about that every time. I mean, my faith, and I tell the kids, because one of the questions was, if you could see your perpetrator right now, what would you say? And I think I've shared this with you before, but I would say, honestly, I forgive you, and whatever happened to you that made you want to hurt me, I'm so sorry, and I pray for peace for you. That forgiveness has changed my life.
Well, I always think about something you once told me, that healing didn't erase your past. It helped you understand it. And if you could sit beside that little girl who believed she was from Escape to Witch Mountain, what would you whisper in her ear?
You are worthy. You are worthy of joy, happiness. You are worthy of every good thing. And you are God's beloved daughter. Don't let anything that happens to you define you. Just trust and know who you are and whose you are.
It's just, it all comes full circle, I think, growing up, without a lot, but you do have an abundance of love.
Yeah.
And you have support. And the support that you had came in the form of your parents, who were there for you, who tried to protect you in the ways that they could and that they knew how.
Right.
I wonder, when you look back at how you grew up in the neighborhood, and I think you were lucky in a lot of ways.
Oh,
I really
love
do.
That could make me cry. For a long time, I always wanted to run away. Let's get out of here. I'm never going back to Arkansas. And one of my best friends had asked me if I would come visit her. She had lost her mom and her meemaw. And I said, all right, I'll come, but we're going to have a really big party. We're going to have a reunion. And she helped make that happen. And it was awesome. There were like 80 people from, it was like an all years reunion. So it was like, you know, if you're a few years below or above them. And so it was just, that was so healing to go back and feel so much love from all my friends I went to high school and elementary school with. And, but finally, 2 years ago, my husband finally went to Arkansas, and it was so cool because I just wanted to show him what I was talking about, you know, living out in Ferndale. And he said, can we go to the property? And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like, you do not know what you're asking me. I thought about it, prayed about it. And I said, I'll take you to the Foursquare. And so the Foursquare is like, literally there's 4 stop signs, and on the corner is one of my old church, Pleasant Grove. And on the other corner is an empty lot. It still was empty 2 years ago. Then there was Tommy's Grocery is now Dollar General.
Oh, okay.
And the dairy bar is defunct. It's all boarded up. But we got out there, and I said, you know what? Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Wow.
He's like, are you sure? And I went, yeah. And so it was so crazy, that muscle memory. And certain things, like a lot had changed, but there were certain things that were just still there. Like this old little store, still there. It's a little, you know, it's been shut down for years. But we were there, and it was just like, wow. I drove down the road. And my best friend's like, well, make sure you don't, you know, stop anywhere too long, because they've got the Ferndale watch dogs on Facebook, and they'll take a picture of your car. I'm like,
oh my God.
they can take all the pictures they want. I ain't doing nothing wrong.
No, exactly. You're going down. You're confronting your ghosts,
Yes.
if you will.
Yeah.
You know, I still have dreams of my old neighborhood and things like that. Sometimes where I go back in time, and it's just strange. Do you ever dream like that? You know?
Yeah. It is so odd. Yeah, these people who used to babysit us, they had like kind of a farm, and they'd lock us outside like all day, like, get out of here, you know? So we would build like little pretend houses with the pine needles, and we did what we could just to be happy, you know?
You know, Michelle, one of the greatest gifts that you've given us today is permission to look at ourselves with compassion. Not just the healed version, but the child who dreamed, the one who escaped into imagination, the one who carried secrets, or who simply did the best she could with what she knew. And your story reminds us that purpose isn't something we suddenly discover, but it can take a lifetime to become brave enough to meet ourselves there and confront ourselves. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
I always try and close our episodes with one of Scott's poems, and the one I chose today is called Embracing My True Self. And I think it's a good choice because it leaves you with this feeling about freedom. And freedom that comes from when we stop trying to be who the world wants us to be, but actually have the courage to become who we were created to be, what our soul's purpose is, if you will. And I think this poem belongs to you today, my friend.
Aww.
So it goes, for the first time in a long time, I can say I'm happy. Nobody's snappy, catty, overzealously chatty. The person I used to be wasn't me. It wasn't the best I could be. I let my demons consume me. Bad thoughts constantly pursued me. I was a fool to believe that I could be anybody else but myself. It took some time and encouragement from the people I love to realize the person I am is better than the person I want to be, the person everyone said I should be, the person I was encouraged to be. It wasn't me. I love myself, and the people who surround me, the people who care for me and want me to be the best I can be. Relationships, platonic or not, have a balance that people constantly challenge to make their lives better for themselves and no one else. But who wants a friend that only cares for themselves when there's so much more to yourself? You are the person who you need the most. See the most. And not even weed can boast that true self. That new self, that construed self. So look in the mirror and stop judging your wealth or your health. See the positive of yourself because you are the best on top of everyone else's shelf. And if anyone tries to drag you down, you pull them up and hand them your crown.
Oh, I love that.
I know. He really had a way with words, and his light shined very brightly, and your light shines so brightly too. And thank you.
Thank you
for sharing your story and your history. And to our audience out there, if you've been in a situation where you're scared or you don't know where to turn, there is help out there. Depending on what you're going through, you can call 988 and you can get the help you need. There's the church, there's support groups. You are not alone. This is S.O.S. Stories of Survivors, where survival sparks the soul. Thank you for joining us.